You're watching the Fantasy Rankings Report only on Fantasy Now Plus. Hello. Welcome into the Fantasy Rankings Report. My name is Topher Kurt, but you can call me Topher, and I'm here with my co-host, Michael. Michael, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Obviously, we nerd out on a lot of things because we're doing a fantasy football podcast. But another thing I like to nerd out on is Pokemon cards, and I pulled a pretty good one yesterday, so I'm pretty excited.
There we go. That's awesome. I love that. I had so many Pokemon cards as a kid. Just there's something that wasn't continued for me, but I love Pokemon still.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, there we go. That's awesome. On this show, what we do is we take expert rankings from multiple different sites and put them into one conglomerate ranking to give you the best advice. Because some experts have them ranked, some players ranked very highly, very low. Some players are going to be within a very small range of each other. So we go through all of that with you. I am our wide receiver expert, and Michael is our running back expert. Before we get any further, I do want to bring up that this show is brought to you by Fantasy Now Plus and the Fins Talk Sports Network. And you need to subscribe to both. All the links are in the description of however you are ingesting this podcast. And we thank you for being here today. We're going to start off with our rankings question of the day. In this segment, Topher and Michael ask each other questions about rankings in any way, shape, or form. You can stick to our area or position of expertise, or we can talk about a different position. Today, we're kind of at what I would call the halfway point of the season, even though it's a 17, teams play 17 games, it's 18 weeks. For fantasy purposes, we're pretty much right at that healthy halfway point. I want to talk about and ask you about the top 5 players at wide receiver and running back right now. Because at the beginning of the season, with ADP from Fantasy Pros, here's where the top 5 wide receivers were in order: Chase, Jefferson, Lamb, Collins, and Puka. So for the wide receivers, who are the top 5 wide receivers in fantasy points per game right now? Notice that I said per game, so it does account. It doesn't mean like people that haven't been on bye week have an advantage.
All right, perfect. So top 5, not in any particular order. I think I'm gonna go. One of them has to be Smith-Njigba. He's been pretty lights out, especially the first few weeks. I think he was putting up enough numbers to be able to hold them steady for a couple down weeks. Let's go Amon-Ra. He's got to be up there as well. Maybe I'm just being a little biased here. Give me Rome. Give me Rome up there in top 5. I feel the past few weeks, I think he's been right around the 12 to 15 point mark, I think. So hopefully that's brought up his average a bit. We've got 3 of them so far. Let's go because of the last 3 weeks. Give me Jamar Chase. And for my final one, give me Puka. Puka's got to be pretty close if he's not there, I would think.
You got 4 out of 5 of those right. Very nicely done. Good. Guess which one you got wrong?
Probably Rome.
Yes, it was Rome Odunze. Absolutely. But that is all good. For the sake of this, the top one right now is Rashee Rice, but he's only played 2 games, so I'm not going to include that. Instead, George Pickens is the 5th one. So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have seen George Pickens up there at the beginning of the season. Now, wow, I'm saying again today. For our running backs, here are the top 5 ADP. Top 5 ADP at the end of the preseason. Running back 1, Bijan. 2, Barkley. 3, Gibbs. 4, Henry. 5, CMC. Who are our top 5 running backs in points per game?
All right, I feel like the top 2 probably JT. So Taylor's got to be up there. He's been having a monster season. Right behind him has to be James Cook. He's coming off an insane week to begin with, but he's been playing amazing. CMC has to be up there. I mean, he's your tight end 1, your QB 2, he's
Yeah.
everything right now. I know Jahmyr Gibbs has had a couple down weeks, but I think for the most part, he's had to have some really high numbers. For my last one, this one's gonna be a little hard. I feel like Bijan should be on there, but I feel like he's probably off that top 5. Give me Bijan anyway.
Hey, again, 4 out of 5 right there. The one you were wrong about was Jahmyr Gibbs,
Ah,
but that's because he's number 6. You're literally off by 0.1.
oh man.
Yeah. So who do you think it should be instead?
Who's been tearing it up? Rico Dowdle, maybe?
No, Rico
Mhm.
Dowdle in points per game. Points per game.
Yeah, I think he's only had a few games where he's actually really turned up. You got me, man. I have no idea who's that 5th guy then.
Josh Jacobs.
Ah,
Yeah. So he's 5th and Jahmyr Gibbs is 6th.
Is that based on mostly touchdowns, or has his number? I know he's in the RB1 tier, absolutely, but has that been mostly because of touchdowns?
Well, he has 9 touchdowns, but Gibbs has 7. So it's not
Fair.
that much. The part of it is that Jacobs has 191 receiving yards and Gibbs has 194. Jacobs has been more involved in the passing game this year. Before we go to our next part of our show, Bailey has a question for us. Slightly off topic, sorry. You're all good. Got JSN, Chase, Igbuka, Pickens, Adunze, Sutton. Bit weak at running back, Achan, Tracy, White. Any advice on running backs I could target and for who? 8-man league. Oh, in an 8-man league, you should be able to definitely improve this running back room. For sure. Tyrone Tracy right now is your running back 3. I'm not going to complain about it because of Scattaboo. Rashid White, not going to be there as a viable option much longer. So you definitely do need to make a trade. It depends on what you want. If you want a middling back, you could go after somebody like a Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins. And you could trade. I mean, the worst one out of that is Sutton.
That's impressive.
Which is great. Yeah. Or you package 2 of these guys up and you get a lesser receiver in return. But you also go out and you get somebody that's got more to their name. You know, if you send Pickens and Sutton and you can come back with like one of the top running backs we were talking about near the end of that top tier right there of James Cook, Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achan, right there. You walk away with one of them plus a top 30 receiver. Absolutely. I'm going with that. What are your thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on. And in an 8-man league, I'd be even willing to see what's on the waivers because that's got to be quite a bit still available. I've done a couple 8-man leagues and everyone's team is pretty much stacked, and there's always something readily available on the waivers. So you might not even necessarily need to give something up unless, I'm assuming every single team is fairly close, and yeah, go for a trade, but I'd probably look at the waivers first, in my opinion.
Yeah, because honestly, you have what I would consider 4 top 10 receivers in JSN, Chase, Igbuka, Pickens, Adunze, Sutton are top 20 at worst. There's no way you're going to play all of them all the time. I would also look for a running back that's also had their bye.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Oh,
I would kind of look for that as well, because Bucks are on bye this week, but Dolphins haven't had their bye yet. I don't think Giants have had their bye yet. So that could be an issue coming up in the future. Looking for a running back that has been on a bye. So Josh Jacobs works. I believe does Jahmyr Gibbs. Yep. Gibbs works. So
yeah, you're right. Giants don't have a bye week till 14, so he's a little bit of time there, but that's going to come up soon.
yeah. And Achan has one in 12, which is closer than what we want it to be. And you do not want to go out there in this league with Tyrone Tracy as your only viable running back in week 10. I definitely agree. Go get a top 12 running back. Go Derrick Henry, who's actually turning it on right now, or DeAndre Swift. You could send a Sutton probably to somebody that doesn't have that. I'm only saying Sutton because I feel like he's the lowest out of this group. Or Adunze, you could say, hey, got this young stud right here. Milk it. That's what I would do. Thank you for asking, Bailey. And listeners, watchers of the live show right now, if you have questions, please feel free to come and ask us those. We are going on to the next part of our show, which Michael leads.
Absolutely. So next up, we're going to go safe and steady. So this is right around the part where we talk about where the consensus agrees on. So the range is going to be a lot smaller here. We're going to look at guys that are guys that you know what you're going to get out of them. You know you're going to get some decent points. These are the guys to look at. I have an interesting one as my first one, basically just because of who he's going up against. But Jaylen Warren. So Jaylen Warren is currently RB15 with a range of 6. Now it's a little bit bigger than typically what we like in safe and steady. But he's actually coming off a pretty decent showing against a fantastic Green Bay rush defense right now. He had 62 yards, 2 receptions for 11 yards. And 2 weeks prior, he played Cleveland, who they're about the same kind of rush defense as Indiana, who he's coming up against. And in that game, he had 52 yards, 2 receptions, 11 yards again. And Indiana's currently 8th in rushing yards allowed, while Cleveland's 9th. Indianapolis, sorry. I was looking at my IND notes.
You're all good.
But thank you, I appreciate that. Indianapolis right now is 8th. Cleveland's 9th. They're giving up about 93.1 and 94.3 yards respectively. I'm thinking you can still get about the same from Jaylen Warren that he did against Green Bay and Cleveland. So he's going to be a solid 8 to 10 points this week. And with the bye weeks coming up, if most of your teams are looking like mine, I'm kind of struggling to fit a running back in there right now. And Jaylen Warren would be a good, decent RB2 potential flex if you're hurting for the flex position.
Yeah, I like Jaylen Warren. I like what he can do. I wish Caleb Johnson was better as an Iowa guy, but got to be happy for the guy having success in the NFL, no matter what. My first wide receiver for steady and safe is T. Higgins. Now, remember, we're talking about we're highlighting players that the experts have a consensus agreement on. I might not love T. Higgins at wide receiver 20 right now, saying that he's a steady and safe player, but the experts do. He's got a range of 4, which is one of the lowest ranges that I have out of all my wide receivers this week, outside of the top 8. T. Higgins with Joe Burrow at the helm has received 8 targets, 10 targets, and then last week 2. Last week was an anomaly. The weeks before that, he had 5 and 6 receptions. Last week he had 1, but he did score a touchdown. He scored a touchdown in his last 3 out of 4 games. When he's had more than 3 receptions in a game, he's had at least 60 yards. I think he's going to continue to produce. They're playing the Chicago Bears this week, who are the 11th best matchup for wide receivers and allow the 3rd most touchdowns on average per game to the wide receiver position. And we know that they're not getting their scoring on the ground. Unless if Joe Burrow, who's now playing like Josh Allen, runs it in. I think T. Higgins. Who did I say? I said Burrow.
Okay.
Yep.
Bro, yeah.
Yeah. So Joe Flacco is playing like Josh Allen right now with all of his running. But that's not going to be everything in the world. That's not going to get him scores every week. T. Higgins, steady and safe. I can buy into it.
I like it. As much as I don't want them to do much against the Bears secondary is so depleted. They just had to sign Gardner Johnson this morning just so that way they have a nickelback to be able to play. So it's not looking good for that secondary right now. And one random thing I heard on local radio was T. Higgins has a 9-game touchdown at home streak. And
really?
Yeah, he's 1 away from tying Jerry Rice for the record. So he is doing very well at home.
Oh, wow. I'm looking at his. Oh, my. Whoa. The last time he played a game, he did not score. He played a home game and did not score was week 3 of last year.
That's insane.
That is. Wow.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too much further into it as well, but I don't know if you're going to touch on Jamar Chase at all later on, but Jamar Chase is also, if he's 3 games in a row of at least 10 receptions, and if he does it again, he ties Jerry Rice's record again.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good chance. But for my second safe and steady guy, going with a guy that we just kind of mentioned, and that's almost for the same reason that you mentioned, Tyrone Tracy Jr. RB16, he's got a range of 3, so the consensus really does have him up there right now. Scadabo's done for the year. You're going to see Tracy taking the bulk of the backfield, definitely over Devin Singletary. And San Francisco's next. They're about middle of the pack with rushing yards allowed. And really, as long as the Giants are not getting blown out, he has a chance to be able to go ahead and put some numbers up. They might not be 100-yard rushing games, but he's going to get you some steady points. Again, another guy that you can probably expect to get you about 10-ish points this week, which has been better than some of my running backs lately. So that's one that I would not mind at this week.
No, not at all. I agree with you. My wide receiver 2 is somebody I've talked about a couple times on this show. Alec Pierce of the Indiana Colts. Wide receiver 42 with a range of 7, which is kind of a lower range in rankings this week. That normally comes into our later segment, a range of 7, but a lot of them are within like 7 to 10 this week. Alec Pierce of the Indianapolis Colts has been really fun to watch because he just gets thrown the ball deep. He plays the deep ball very well. He's not walking away with a bunch of receptions in games. He's only had 1 game with 5 or more receptions, but he has had his last 4 out of 5 games. He has had at least 67 receiving yards or more, up to 98. He is definitely a target for Daniel Jones. He's not a huge target. He's kind of like a tertiary option behind Michael Pittman and Tyler Warren. but he's getting the bigger throws. And I really like that. Plus, Josh Downs is injured. Again, he might not play this week. That opens things up more for Alec Pierce. I like playing him. I'm playing him every week right now. In any league that I have Alec Pierce, I'm playing him every week.
Awesome. My last guy for safe and steady, going to guy that I talked about multiple times. That's J.K. Dobbins. He's at RB18. He's got a range of 4. Now, he's coming off a season high, 111 rushing yards versus Dallas. Also added 2 receptions, 10 yards. Now, but that's the Cowboys. Now he's playing a much better Houston D, which is very, very true. Houston is actually a top 5 rush defense right now. But even in this game, I'm expecting him to still get about 15 touches. You know, he's averaging close to 6 yards a carry. I think it was like 5.8. So I'm still expecting him to get about 70 yards. Add a couple receptions. He's been consistently getting you about 2 receptions. Good to look for another couple points there. So he's another guy that he's a good RB2 plug guy or a possible flex if you need it. And the consensus believes that he's going to go up there and get you about 9-10 points. So that's 3 straight guys of giving that can possibly get you 10 points this week, especially when you're looking at a bye week. That's something I'll take. One guy I do want to just briefly mention, just because the consensus is pretty much all in agreement on, but it's a guy I've also talked about previously, was Kyle Monangai. Right now he's RB33. His range is 1. You don't see that in the RB1 tier, let alone going down to an RB3, RB4 tier, and his range is 1. So consensus is really liking him as well this week.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, seeing a lower rank where everybody's just kind of on that same lower flex play but has an option. Good. Last guy I want to talk about is Christian Watson at wide receiver 53. Yes, you might be like, okay, Topher, you're a Packer fan. I'm aware. But in his season debut after coming back, he only played 56% of snaps, but he had 4 targets, 4 receptions on 85 yards. He caught everything that was thrown his way, had 85 yards. He was getting open, and Jordan Love was finding him. If that percentage continues to increase, which it should, he's going to continue to create these plays. Now, here's the concern. He is wide receiver 53 with a range of 7. That means he's kind of a flex play if you have to play him. Or like I've got a league where I start 3 wide receivers and 2 flex plays and 2 running backs. So he would be somebody that I would play this week. I think I am. They are playing the Carolina Panthers, who have allowed the second least amount of yardage to the wide receiver on the season so far. I also think that the Packers are showing to be a little matchup proof, except the Cleveland Browns. So, but I think that Christian Watson has a good chance to provide an Alec Pierce like week. I think him and Alec Pierce are going to be on very similar trajectories. And we have not had the spamming right now because Jamie decided to show up late. We started without you, and you decided to show up late. So yes, both sides can be true. Our biggest segment of the show is called Experts Against Experts. This part of the show is where we each highlight 5 players in our positions of expertise that the consensus disagrees on. We will each talk about one from each tier. For example, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Before we go into that, those of you that are watching, I'm going to show you right now the sheet that we use to help you understand what is going on. So right here, we have our rankings from our 6 websites that we use. It shows us the average. It shows us the mode, the high, low, the range of everything. And we categorize it in tiers of 12. So you go along, you see it, and it helps give us a lot of information. Like Darnell Mooney right now has a range of 23. I'm not going to talk about him necessarily because it all depends on if Drake London's playing. Because a couple sources don't have Drake London listed. The ones that don't have Drake London listed have Darnell Mooney high. But it is very interesting to see these things, to elaborate all of that. Jamie said, I'm not watching, I'm listening. Well, we're so glad you're here, Jamie. I know you're ignoring us, but I'm glad you're here. I want to talk about my wide receiver 1 tier guy. Never thought I'd be saying his name up here again. Michael Pittman Jr. Again, wide receiver of the Indianapolis Colts, the 7-1 Indianapolis Colts led by Daniel Jones. It's still not making sense to me. But here we are. He's got a range of 7. His highest ranking is 8. His lowest ranking is 15. He's wide receiver 12 in fantasy points per game. He's tied for the second most receiving touchdowns amongst wide receivers in the league with 6. Amon-Ra has the most at 7. He's tied with George Pickens and Devontae Adams. Those are the only other 2 with 6 receiving touchdowns. Everybody else at the wide receiver position has 5 or less. 6 touchdowns matches Pittman's career high. He's tied that in 8 weeks. He's tied for 8th most wide receiver receptions this season. He's a target share of 23% on his team, an end zone target share of 30%. So he is being targeted every 3 out of 10 passes in the red zone. He's got 22% of the team's air yards. Alec Pierce has like 4,900% of it. I think it's closer to like 45, 46% from Alec Pierce. But Michael Pittman's not your deep guy, which is all good. Last week, if you watched, he made 2 incredible highlight-worthy, like end-of-year highlight tape-worthy for the whole NFL season catches. One where it bounced off him up in the air. He tracked it, he followed it, caught it, and ran. The other one where he caught it like in the nook of his elbow while he was going down and like held onto it with the bendy, like the little inside part of his elbow right here, and caught a touchdown. It was ridiculous. He's showing you on the field the dynamic player he can be, and on the fantasy sheet. The Steelers, who they're playing this week, are the 6th best matchup for wide receivers this season. They've allowed the most receiving yards and most receptions to the wide receiver position per game this year. Alec Pierce, really good, steady and safe. Michael Pittman, going to be a top 10 wide receiver again this week. Something to note about him, though, out of the top 50 receivers, he is one of 3 top 50 receivers right now that does not have a 30-yard plus catch, which is kind of crazy. You're like, okay, he's top 10, top 12. He's got to have a big play. He's not a big play guy. He's consistent. He's getting those smaller plays. Deebo Samuel and teammate Josh Downs are the only other 2 wide receivers in the top 50 without a 30-yard plus catch. I think I'm going Michael Pittman all the way. I'm putting money on him. He's going to score. He scored 6 out of 8 games. Daniel Jones loves him in the red zone. I think I'm all for it.
I like that. Since you brought up Pittman, I'd have a question.
Yes.
So, in one of my dynasty leagues, I have Pittman. I am not doing well this year. I was offered, which I declined. I was offered Marvin Harrison Jr. for Pittman and like a late pay, like a 5th round pick, which is our last round in a rookie draft. I immediately said no. I am a very big anti Marvin Harrison Jr. not fan. I don't know how I should
You're going to
describe that,
really
but
like my wide receiver tier 2 talk. Wide receiver 2 tier talk. Then here in a moment.
perfect. Awesome.
Yes.
I, yeah, I
Oh,
declined it. I just don't.
decline that every day and then some.
Perfect. I can't stand them, so I'm excited for the next part. My first guy in RB1s here, I'm going James Cook. We just talked about him. He's RB9. He's actually has a range of 9. It ranges from 5 to 14. Dude, what a week. They just played Carolina. He notched his 4th game with over 100 rushing yards. This one, 216 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 33.6 fantasy points in PPR. Insane. And I didn't take a double check, but I would have to after this. He ended up being running back 2. I'm pretty sure Jonathan Taylor was 1 because I have him in a league, and I'm pretty sure he got me about 44-ish points. But what a game by Cook. Now
Yeah.
next up he's got KC. Now, even though KC, they look like they have a little bit of a better rush defense than Carolina, Carolina's only giving up on average 11 more rushing yards per game, and that's after James Cook just torched them. Cook is on a whole nother level. I mean, it goes without saying he's a must start every single week. I mean, even if he wasn't on this kind of tear, if he was doing even what he did last year, which was fantastic, if he was doing something like that, of course you play him every single time. There's not many teams that can stop him right now. The Patriots were really one of the only teams I have actually this year. You have to expect him to flirt with another 100-yard game, well over 15 fantasy points. That's probably where I'm going to start putting his floor if he keeps playing like this. Is he's going to get you an insane amount of points. James Cook, RB1 tier, obviously must play, but this is going to be must watch football from here on out if he continues doing this.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like he had a week or two where it was a lull where we were like, ooh, we don't. Yeah. So weeks 5 and 6, he didn't score double digit fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
But in his other 5 games, he's had 20 or more in half point PPR. It is insane. Let's get to this fun wide receiver 2 tier talk of Marvin Harrison Jr. He is right now still on pace for the trajectory of what his father did in his first couple of years. So we cannot count him out yet. We just can't. But can we count him out of this season? Maybe. I think part of it is that Kyler Murray is just not the best thing to happen, and I think everybody knows it, but they won't do anything about it. He's got a range. He's currently wide receiver 19, got a range of 9. Highest ranking is 16. Lowest ranking is 25. However, he is wide receiver 40 in fantasy points per game this season. He's currently ranked as wide receiver 19. And he's wide receiver 40 on the year. He has only 2 games this year with 5 or more receptions, and has 1 game over 6 targets, 3 games above 60 yards. You're not putting your faith in a wide receiver 2 guy that is putting those things up. Let's talk about his weekly average. Let's have fun with that. 5.7 targets, 3.4 receptions, 56.6 yards per game, and 0.3 touchdowns per game. No, he's got an 18% target share. That's not bad, but that's not what you drafted him for. That's not what he should be getting. The Arizona Cardinals also target their wide receivers the 31st rate in the NFL. There's only one team that targets their wide receivers less than them. Harrison has a 29% end zone target share on the team and 23% air yard share on the team. Those are both very good numbers. Not crazy great, but again, like we were talking about with Michael Pittman, every 3 out of 10 end zone passes going your way. That's good. Murray should be back this week. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. There's not enough conclusive data to say that Jacoby Brissett helped or didn't help because it was pretty consistent with Marvin Harrison doing what he's been doing this year. However, Dallas is the best wide receiver matchup in fantasy football, and they are allowing 1.9 touchdowns to the wide receiver position this year. Guess what? Marvin Harrison is the only wide receiver on the team that has more than one touchdown. They've only had 10 passing touchdowns. Harrison has 2. McBride has 4. And then the other, one of them went to DeMarcado, one went to Benson, one went to Greg Dortch. And I want to say the other one was either Michael Wilson or Zay Jones. But if any wide receiver is going to score in this game, it should be Marvin Harrison Jr. This is Marvin Harrison's junior's week to come back and actually have a game that matters, that makes you continually to falsely believe in him for the rest of the year. But I would start him this week. I would start him this week because of the matchup, because that secondary is just Swiss cheese. And I think a blind Kyler Murray can get Harrison the ball enough, even a couple times where Harrison could break something off or make a clutch play that you go, okay, yeah, athletic superstar, give you, a 13-point week and half-point PPR. I'm not saying you shoot him to the moon, but wide receiver 2 tier, I'd kind of put him wide receiver 3, but, and Jamie said last night on Going for 2, which is a network that he and I work on together, Sunday morning start sit show over there with us. Boom. He talked about Marvin Harrison as a start last night. So we're on that same page right there. It wasn't your favorite. It wasn't me tearing him down to oblivion, but I did say that he's a stinker.
Yeah. I know he's still young, but there's just something about him I can't get behind yet. I mean, hopefully he does well. I mean, I don't wish ill on the game, but I hope he does well. But there's just something right now I can't get behind.
I'm with you.
So my RB2 tier guy, I'm going Rico Dowdle. RB21, range of 11. That's about 17 to 28. He went up against Buffalo this past week. Did not get to rush much, but that was because of a crazy blowout. It was 40 to 9. But he still rushed for 54 yards and 8 attempts. It's not bad. Obviously not what you want for fantasy, but that's not bad for limited. Now, people are going back and forth with what's going to go on with him and when Chuba gets back. And right now, it's kind of split about 50-50. Now, I'm not saying this is a guy I want to start this week. And for basically, I think you mentioned this already too. Green Bay's defense is just, it's insane. Their rush defense right now is on a whole nother level.
Yes.
They're like third now in rush defense. Like they're allowing very little yards per game. It's insane. I have their defense in a couple leagues that are in a league that I do have a defense playing, and they've been doing it for me. They've been doing all right. Now I'm at the point now. I'm probably avoiding any running back going up against Green Bay, but Rico Dowdle this week, especially if he's now at 50-50 instead of leading that pack, you have to just let him sit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Rico has been amazing this year, and he's going to continue to do that. But he's not somebody that you can start confidently. I'm with you there. Wide receiver 3 tier for me. Chicago Bears own DJ Moore at wide receiver 34. He's got a range of 29 to 42. This is not the DJ Moore that Bears fans we're hoping that they would have at this point. Because he hasn't crossed that 30-year-old threshold yet. He hasn't hit that hump yet. But he's playing a little bit like it. He's only had 2 games above 50 yards. He's wide receiver 49 in fantasy points per game right now. His weekly average, 5.2 targets, 3.6 receptions, 43 yards, and only has 1 touchdown on the season. Marvin Harrison Jr. is having 13 more yards per game than him, which is saying something that you don't want to be said about you. He's got a 17% target share on the Bears. Marvin Harrison Jr., 18%. However, DJ Moore is tied with Olamide Zaccheaus with the 17% target share on the team. He's got a 25% end zone target share and 25% air yards share. Those are great. Those are great things, especially being the wide receiver 2 on a team. Those are great statistics, the end zone and the air yards. This week, actually, specifically today, guess who didn't practice? Odunze, Moore, Burden, Zaccheaus, along with running backs Swift and Jamie's guy, Roshan Johnson. Oh my gosh. However, if Moore is healthy, he's getting those opportunities. He had a bigger game last week. That's part of why I wanted to bring him up, because he did. He had 73 yards. He had 7 targets, his season high. He had 4 receptions, his second season high. He could do a little dancing back into relevance. However, the Bengals are the 20th best wide receiver matchup. So they're in the lower half of guys' teams you want to play. But if the team that they're facing, the Bengals, has 2 or more viable wide receivers, each of them are getting at least 50 yards against Cincy. So they're getting 50, 60, sometimes 70 rushing yards, but they're getting that in multiple players per week. Heck, Tyler Johnson got it last week for the Jets, and he scored a touchdown against them. I think DJ has some value this week if he's healthy. But again, like Marvin Harrison Jr., he's wide receiver 49 in fantasy points per game, and he's ranked at wide receiver 34 this week. There's not that many buys that make that this week that make that big of a difference. Just keep that in mind with DJ Moore as you move forward.
That comparison kind of hurt. I was like,
I have to be honest. I have to do my job.
Oh, my next guy, I'm going Woody Marks. Woody Marks has been pretty damn good. Right now, he's RB25, got a range of 12, though. He's anywhere from 18 to 30. Now, this is a guy that's second on the depth chart behind Nick Chubb, which he's outperforming Nick Chubb. He's coming off of a 62-yard game on 11 attempts, added 4 receptions for 49 yards. He's currently averaging about a 42% snap count, which, as your backup, that's not bad, especially if he really is outperforming your starter. Now, if he continues to really outperform Chubb, I'd like to see him officially take over that starting spot in the next upcoming weeks. If he's going to have games as a backup where he can average almost 6 rushing yards a game or 6 rushing yards an attempt, and then still add on 4 receptions, 5 receptions, especially in PPR league, you're getting a decent amount of points just out of that passing game from him. And I'm not saying he's a must start this week, but he's a guy that can be sitting there looking at your flex spot on a bye week. So Woody Marks, he's kind of my guy right now. I like him. Like I said the other day, you got Woody going above the Chubb, so let's make it happen.
Yeah. I think that Woody Marks could elevate to one of those guys that helps you get into the playoffs and helps you do a playoff run, especially if the Texans start playing like they did last week, where CJ Stroud looked like rookie CJ Stroud. And that was without Nico Collins. So maybe it's Nico Collins holding them back. I think that's what we're concluding. Real quick, I just saw this pop up in my Twitter timeline. Brees Hall just posted a GIF of someone eating snacks, like something was going on. There's, this is trade talk time. He's been talking about getting out of town. Maybe something's coming that way. Just keep that in mind, y'all. I could be very wrong, but I'm all here for the social media baiting that players do. I'm here for it. If I was in that position, I would play games with people too. Oh, it'd be so much fun. Talking about people that have played games with people's minds this year, let's talk about another NFC North wide receiver 4 tier, Jameson Williams, a name that some people thought coming in could be a wide receiver 1 on this season. He's ranked at wide receiver 39 this week. He's got a range of 11. 34 is his highest, 45 is his lowest. He is wide receiver 53 in fantasy points per game. He only has 2 games above 50 yards. His weekly average is 4.3 targets, 2.4 receptions, 41.3 yards, and 0.3 TDs. He's got 2 TDs on the season, but he makes DJ Moore. He makes DJ Moore look so much better than him. Also, I'm really enjoying doing the subtle digs on my NFC North compadres here. He has a 15% target share on the team, which is third, tied for third with Jahmyr Gibbs behind Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta. Understandable. He has a 0% end zone target share. 0%. And he has 36% air yards. If you don't know what air yards means, that means the ball is being 36% of the time that the ball is in the air, it is directed at Jameson Williams. That's incredible. That's great. That's something you want. He only has 289 yards on this season, receiving wise. Want to know some receivers that have more yards than him? Tyquan Thornton, Ricky Pearsall, who has only played 4 games, Hollywood Brown, Cooper Kupp, and Calvin Ridley all have more yards than him. There have been weeks where you play him and you are annihilated. Last game he played, week 7, he didn't even have a catch. He had 2 targets, 0 receptions. Week 5 against Cincinnati, 1 target, 1 reception for 9 yards. He has had 1 game this year with above 4 receptions. He's had 4, 2, 2, 2, 1, 6, 0 receptions in games this year. You can pick up guys on the waiver wire that are getting more target share, that are getting more points than him on a weekly basis. Yes, can he break off big games like other people can't? Yes. But when you are below a hurt Calvin Ridley and a geriatric Cooper Kupp, and you were a first-round pick that just signed a giant contract extension, that's embarrassing. It's not like Isaac Tesla has all of a sudden taken over what he does. No, that vacancy is still there. He's just not doing it. I don't start him. I don't touch him. Not for me. Yes, they're playing Minnesota, who has let people light them up lately. They really have. Even though Minnesota is this quote unquote tough against wide receivers, each week it keeps getting less and less tough. I still don't trust him. Still don't trust him. Keep him on your bench. Trade him to somebody.
Find a sucker to take him. I like it.
Yes. Like Michael Flores.
I probably would.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
So my RB4 tier guy, I'm going with a guy that I was expecting to be used so much more. That's Ollie Gordon II. He's currently at RB42. His range is he got a range of 10. It's 38 to 48. Now, he had a decent showing this last week versus Atlanta. He had 46 yards and 10 attempts. And then he had a 20-yard reception for a touchdown. Cool. Great. Not exactly what we were really looking for. His snap count, though, has been higher in the last 2 weeks compared to the rest of the season. He's at 31% and a 30% respectively over the last 2 weeks. Previously, though, he was right around a 25% on average snap share count per game, which I get it, Achan's there, but once that spot basically became available for him, once he took it over from Jalen Wright, I really thought he was going to get used a lot more. Now, maybe these past 2 weeks are their way of showing they're going to work him in there more. Now, Miami's not really set to do anything this year. They don't look good. Tua is seeing ghosts and apparently has an eye injury. Hill is gone. They're not looking good. I would like to see him get used more. I want him to be relevant in fantasy. Right now, most of our tier 4 and lower really kind of aren't, but Ollie Gordon is a guy that should be being used more, even if he is an RB4 tier kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought Ollie Gordon would be used more, but as a Devon Achan owner in multiple leagues, I am more than okay with the lack of usage. But if Achan were to go down for any reason, that is Ollie Gordon's backfield. That's an instant. He becomes a Kamani Vidal, top 15 running back sort of guy. So I don't know if I'd start him this week, especially against Baltimore. But you're right. The Dolphins don't have much going on this year. They are continually being in a rebuild. They are perpetually rebuilding. Jamie did want to say that Roshan is dead, dude. He did send me a AI tribute song that he wrote, and then he wrote the lyrics and then put it to a tribute band. And thank you for asking this question, Bronze. Trade Dowdle and Swift for Derrick Henry? No. I'm keeping Swift and Henry. Swift is outscoring Henry right now, let alone Dowdle having the amount of rushing yards he's had this season. Yes, Henry might be breaking out right now, but is that going to stay consistent? Is that going to keep happening? Because we have not seen that consistency from him that we've seen from him his entire career. So no, I hang on to Dowdle and Swift. Your thoughts, running back expert?
I completely agree. They're both outperforming Henry right now. As much as I love Henry and I hope he gets back to Henry of old, yeah, it's not worth the risk.
No, absolutely not. My wide receiver 5 tier is a Darius Slayton at wide receiver 49. I saw this guy on here and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Then I saw his range of 16 where somebody has him ranked at 37. Wide receiver 37. His low is wide receiver 53. You want to know what his fantasy points per game this year is?
Absolutely.
98th. He is wide receiver 98 in fantasy points per game this year. And he's currently ranked at wide receiver 49. This is outlandish. What I'm bringing up what name recognition can do to you this week. Because Michael Pittman does not have the name recognition of being a wide receiver 1 this year. But Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, Jamison Williams, Darius Slayton are all names that are buzz names that you can feel comfy and happy about, but they're not. No. This is a spooky, scary skeletons Halloween episode of Halloweens of wide receivers past. Tricked you with the happy-go-lucky Michael Pittman. He's had 2 games of above 40 yards. He's had 1 game above 3 receptions this year. Since week 5, he's had a 19% target share. Not too bad. More than Jamison Williams has had this season. And I say week 5 because that's when Malik Neighbors went out. That's why that context. He's got a 0% end zone target share, 30% air yard share. So his stats in that area are higher than Jamison Williams. I would still play Jamison over Darius Slayton any day. His weekly average right now, 3.6 targets, 2.4 receptions, and 33.2 yards per game, 0 touchdowns. His snap percentage each week has gone down, but his target share has increased each week. He's getting more and more targets, but there's no safe floor there. There's nothing safe about playing Darius Slayton. There are better people out on the waiver wire. There are better people that you can go pick up. Demario Douglas is going to have a better option, better chance for the New England Patriots to get better yardage than Darius Slayton will ever this season. And I can almost guarantee that Demario Douglas is out there if Darius Slayton's out there. Darius Slayton is not. I like the guy. I've listened to podcasts about him. I like him. He's a cool guy, but he's not on my fantasy teams. He's been dropped. He's been kicked to the curb if I had him. I think I did in one league because I did talk about him on our October 1st show. Our October 1st show, and was like, oh, okay, this could be a guy. And I'm taking that back now.
He's not that guy, pal.
No, he's not. Sorry, bro.
So my last guy I'm going to talk about is technically in the RB4 tier. RB5, RB6, we're not really seeing much playing time. So it's another guy in the RB4 tier. So he actually is currently listed going into this week as RB37. He's got a range of 15. Someone has him as high as 29, and he's as low as 44. That's actually pretty insane. So what's weird, though, is this was before it was announced that Pacheco did not practice today and most likely will not play Sunday. So that people were still high on him, even though hasn't really been doing anything fantasy-wise. His best game came against Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. He didn't do much on the ground, even though he was given plenty of opportunities. But he did have 5 receptions for 42 yards. So they do really like him in that passing game. Now, if he's not going to get used much in the running game, or if he's not really going to produce in the running game, coming up, I'd like to see him really get involved in the passing game. If Pacheco's out, Kareem Hunt's going to handle everything on the ground. He's probably going to handle the goal line stuff. But this might be the week that Smith can get you double-digit points solely based on his receptions. That's going to give him more time with Pacheco out to be able to be on that field. I'd like to see that 5 receptions, maybe even 5 is a lot, but I'd even like to see go up 1 or 2 and probably elevate that receiving yard game to have actually a decent receiving game, probably better than Harrison, Williams, Moore, all those guys you mentioned. Now he's not a guy that you have to definitely start, but if this Pacheco injury is pretty serious, this is the week to watch him to see how they're going to want to use him moving forward.
Yeah. I agree. I like Brashad Smith. I've picked him up in a couple leagues he's got to break out at some point. He's going to Isaiah Pacheco as a 7th round running back coming in and eventually stealing that workload. He's going to Isaiah Pacheco. And I love that for him. Not for Isaiah, but for Shad. Let's see you do it. We have hit exactly the 1 hour mark on the show. Thank you so much for being a part of it, for listening. Make sure that you are checking out where you can follow us on the Fins Talk Sports Network or Fantasy Now Plus, where we have rankings, articles, daily shows, and more. We've got 8 shows a week up here, and we'd love to have you continue to be involved, continue to share, talk about what you're seeing, you're hearing, what you like, interact with us. You can find me at Topher K44 on Twitter and Blue Sky, Michael at MP Flores 90 at both of those places as well. Do you have anything else before we sign off this week, Michael?
No, just appreciate y'all for listening, for asking questions. And if you're listening to a recording, join the Discord. You can ask your questions in there, and we'll be more than happy to answer them here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and deuces.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.